segment has been sponsored by the Ubuntu Room. Come join Dana Sardano as she offers life-changing advice that will affect the spiritual, emotional, and physical aspects of your being. Within her easily available writings, you will find the solution you need for your problems. Tune in to the Ubuntu Room on the Brooklyn Cafe Show.
Hi, my name is Dana Sardano, and this is the Ubuntu Room. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for joining me. So for those of you who are new to who I am and what I do, the Ubuntu Room is a place where we talk all things personal empowerment and all things spiritual development. And over the last several weeks during book club and even before that, we focus very much on the personal empowerment because I feel once we have the foundation, we can expand from there. So coming up in the upcoming weeks, starting next Wednesday, we're going to focus on the spiritual development with Beyond the 10 Decoding the Woo Woo book club. So get your book and join us. But I want to take a little hiatus between that and tell you a little story. So today is my 55th birthday, my birthday. Today is my birthday, but it's not just my birthday. Today is, it's a special anniversary for me. Today is the 30-year anniversary of my being diagnosed and hospitalized for thyroid cancer. So about a couple of weeks before my 25th birthday, I had gone to the doctor, and I'd only gone to the doctor because for the first time in my young adult life, I had medical insurance, and I worked with a woman who I considered a hypochondriac. So you gotta go to a doctor, you gotta get yourself checked out. And I was super feral, but I went. So I go to the doctor, and they did the typical physical stuff, you know, like the kicky thing with the knee, and they look in your ear and all of the things. And then she put her hand on my throat and she told me to swallow. And when I did, I saw the concern in her eyes. And it just quickly escalated. It went from the swallow to the blood work to the biopsy to waking up on my 25th birthday, having had a full thyroidectomy. They took my entire thyroid and they took 2 of my parathyroids, which regulate your calcium. And because they had difficulty with that, it got a little complicated and there was some like seizure-like behavior. And what should have been a 3-day stint in the hospital was pretty much close to a week. But here's what was kind of cool. I didn't have a roommate. I had like the 2-people room. I didn't have a roommate, at least for the first 3 days. And because it was my birthday, it was very celebratory. Like my friends were there and like there was cake and balloons and there was, you know, all sorts of stuffed animals and gifts. I had like these chicken soup for the soul books that were gifted to me. And it had this air of joy, even though I had just had surgery for cancer. So anyway, so this went on, and also because of my clownery. Again, I'm 25 years old. Imagine all this, even with fewer inhibitions as a 25-year-old. And I mean, it was just silliness. I remember once, you know, that little paper dress they give you, or however they you dress. I had my IV, and I pretend like I was like escaping to like to the elevators, and the nurses had to come yell at me. Like it was like that. Even my mother made an appearance, and I don't know if you've heard, but my relationship with my mother was a little tenuous, and even she showed up and we had some quality time during this time. So it was, even though it was a pretty serious situation, it was a good time. Again, I don't think I knew any better. I don't think I knew to have fear. So a few days into my stay, I had a roommate show up. So now I'm sharing the room with another person. And when this woman showed up, she showed up with her husband and she showed up with her daughter, who was maybe around 11. And the feeling of their situation was very, very somber. It was much, much different than what I was experiencing on my side of the room. And it was sad even. So, you know, now I have my roommate, and she was cool enough. Like when everybody left, you know, like when our families left, you know, we exchanged pleasantries. Like we got familiar with each other. We weren't best friends, but we had conversation, and it was cool. And I was giving her cake, and I was like, you know, sharing my books with her and stuff like that, and making friends, you know, as friendly as you're going to be. So ultimately, when it was time for me to go, I was packing up my things and I was giving her flowers. I was putting my flowers on her side of the room. I'm like, I'm not taking them with me, just have them. And I gave her one of my books. And like I said, I was sharing and again, creating a friendship with this stranger. So the day I was leaving and I was packing up, she says, come here, I want to talk to you. She says, sit down. And she asked me to sit down next to her bed. And then she takes my hand. She looks at me in the eyes and she says, I have to tell you something. She said, about 5 years ago, my husband was diagnosed with cancer and he was on this floor and he passed. Now, meanwhile, again, 25, I'm in this place of, just kind of living in the moment. I didn't even realize I was on a cancer floor. And it makes sense why everybody was so serious. But she was like, he died on this floor, or he was on this floor and he passed. She's like, that man that you saw me with, that's my current husband. He's not the father of my daughter. So when I was diagnosed and I was looking at my experience, it was very, very difficult. I had to relive the experience that I had with my husband. My daughter had to relive losing her father. My current husband had to keep it all together. We came in here, it was very, very somber. And then I look over and I see you. And I see the experience you're having and how you were able to find the joy in this. And you were able to not get lost in the fear and worry of what's next. And I was listening to her and I was so taken with her experience with me because, again, I was just being who I was. And she's like, thank you. She said, you've given me hope. And we had this moment. We said our goodbyes. And then I left and went on with my life. And that experience, 30 years later, always sticks with me. And it especially sticks with me when I'm feeling insignificant. You guys at this point all see what I do. I write the books, I do the videos, I say my stuff, and a lot do all my social media, and I hear crickets. It often feels like it falls on deaf ears. But then I'm reminded by this experience and the impact I had just by being the human that I am. So I share this story, because it's my birthday, and I share this story because I want to remind everybody that we all have impact. Whether we're trying or not, our impact is just in being who we are. So with that said, I hope to see you next week, Decoding the Woo Woo, a book club. And as always, thank you for listening, and Ubuntu.